Hello, welcome to the Karat Juice Podcast. This is episode number 53. I am your host, Monte Lee. Thank you for watching on YouTube. We're live streaming right now. And for my audio listeners, I appreciate you. Thank you for listening. And I don't want to waste too much time. I just have a little bit of housekeeping and we can get right into it. If you're watching on YouTube, all of the good stuff, please do me a favor, like the video if you enjoy this content and hit me with a subscribe only if you enjoy this program. So I want to get right into the content. I'm going to do a quick sound check to make sure that we're good there. Bear with me. Cool. So we're good there as far as with the sound check. And today I'm going to do my metronome clap. And that's for when I do the actual, what do you call it? My audio processing later. So I'm learning all of this stuff right here on the fly when it comes to Ecamm. I'm still trying to figure this out. And there's a lot of stuff to learn. I'm probably going to do an in-depth review of this, of Ecamm and what you can expect when you're dealing with this. But right now, I'm just kind of figuring it out as I go. So today we are talking about Kanye West, and in particular, I wanted to talk about what's going on with him. He's been in the news for a variety of different reasons over the past couple of weeks, months, and I think there's a method to the madness. It's basically what I want to say. I think there's something behind all of this publicity that he's been getting. But we have to start with what's been going on to start all of this. And I think that ties into the divorce. Kim Kardashian, we all know who Kim Kardashian is. She is the person who set the whole thing in motion with the celebrity and just the gravitas that the Kardashian name holds. Say what you want. They've capitalized on the fame, the notoriety, and the celebrity. And the way it came about, we all know for the most part had to do with let's say a very sultry tape being released, say for YouTube. And it catapulted her into the public light. She's capitalized on that notoriety, that fame, but that was the reason she came to fame. And Kanye West, I've been rocking with Kanye West for the longest. I mean, I'm talking about listening to College Dropout. Don't make me start singing on you a little bit. Oh, when it all falls down. I'm telling you, it all falls down. That's all I got. I can't sing, sorry. But it hits home. And it's like something that strikes a chord with me so much because I grew up listening to Kanye. I'm talking about going to high school. What you guys know about that? What you know about eating Twinkies? What you know about hot Cheetos? What you know about Fruitopia? What you know about baggy jeans? What you know about being broke in high school? That was the stuff that I was listening to. College Dropout. Jesus walks with me. So I have an affinity for Kanye over the years because I grew up listening to his music. That doesn't mean I agree with everything that he does or he says. A lot of the stuff that he says is neurotic and it doesn't make much sense. But that's where I'm coming from in the situation. So I say all that to say that I got love for Kanye in a way when it comes to the memories and the great music that he's provided for me over the years and that he continues to provide over time. Some of his projects aren't the best. However, college dropout, graduation. I mean, I have some of the fondest memories of just listening to an album. So a lot of people who listen to music now, they don't understand the importance of being able to listen to an album. I don't know if you guys are like me, but I'm the type of person that I appreciate when an artist can create a piece of work and that I can listen to it from front to back. No skipping tracks. And it's a orchestrated and beautifully put together piece of work. That's how I felt listening to College Dropout. That's how I felt listening to 808s and Heartbreak. I was in college when 808s and Heartbreak came out, and that was one of my favorite experience listening to music. A lot of people say that there's a lot of things that you could do in life, and there's a lot of different feelings and emotions that you can have. However, for me, I don't know if it's like this for you, but when I hear certain songs, like some songs that's on 808s and Heartbreak, I have the vinyl to it as well. But like RoboCop, I don't want no RoboCop. She looking like a RoboCop. Girl, don't play no games with me. It takes me back to high school. And it takes me back to like when I was just starting college. And I appreciate all that. I don't forget about those things. And I'm saying all of this to say that I've followed Kanye for years and years. And I do think he's very passionate. I do think he's a genius musically and as an artist and as being able to see things that other people don't see. But that does not absolve him from behaving properly. That doesn't absolve him from any responsibility when it comes to moving through life. But I think he's a complex person. He's somebody that you have to peel back all of the layers of him. Like, you guys watched the movie Shrek? I remember watching the movie Shrek, and somewhere in that movie, they talked about how, who was it? Was it the donkey or was it Shrek? Where they talked about how he's like an onion and you got to pull him back one layer at a time. I think it was Donkey talking about Shrek. Really good movie, by the way. I love Shrek. The first one, only the first one. But before I go over on too much of a tangent, I think Kanye West is like Shrek. He's very complex. There's a lot of different layers to him. And a lot of the stuff that he does in the media day by day, it's strategic, but it's not planned. Like, I think Kanye is somebody that doesn't really think about what he's going to say before he says it. He just feels it in that moment and he says it. He has no filter. And that's what makes him great when it comes to creating content and creating music that I appreciate. But it doesn't make him the best when it comes to being a communicator and actually saying what's on his mind and making other people receive it in the right way. I think his best form of communication is his art, is his music. So what I'm going to try to do in this podcast episode is give you my perspective on what I think is going on with Kanye West. We have multiple topics that we're going to cover and talk about, and I'm kind of giving my synopsis on it. So the first topic is we're going to be talking about Kim and Kanye and their divorce and the drama that's going on around that and what's been happening with him and all of the comments he's been making with Pete Davidson and what have you. I'm also going to talk about him possibly, Kanye West, possibly considering buying the NFL team, the Denver Broncos. There has been some speculation that he's considering buying the Denver Broncos. That's big for Black people. That's big for ownership and diverse ownership in the ranks of the NFL. I'm all for that. And then there's also the whole thing that's going on with the stem player. I didn't know what the stem player was before today, but I looked it up. Apparently, Kanye West is pulling a Taylor Swift and he is not releasing his work, his album, Donda 2, reportedly, on streaming services initially. And he's saying that he's going to release Donda 2 on his own platform, the stem player. Who knew? There's a lot of money in that. I see a lot of artists doing that in the independent space, but there's a lot to talk about, and I want to get right to it. So as far as with Kim and Kanye, let me sip my beverage. What I think is going on with Kim and Kanye, and I have a question to pose to you guys eventually as well. I think Kanye really loves Kim Kardashian. I think that he wants to get back with her. But at the end of the day, what I think has happened in that situation is he has the type of personality that could wear on you over time. Could you imagine listening to Kanye West day after day over time and not really knowing what he's talking about? I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna be real. I'm not trying to be mean, but I don't know if you guys are familiar with the podcast called the Joe Rogan Experience. Well, if you've been living under a rock, the Joe Rogan Experience is one of the greatest podcasts ever. He has 2-hour, 3-hour long podcasts at times. And I listened to his show religiously for years and years. When Kanye's episode came out, I got excited. I was like, whoa, Kanye. He's about to speak to Kanye. They're about to get into the weeds, because if you listen to the Joe Rogan Experience, they get into the weeds. They end up, at some point they're talking about, cartel. Next moment they're talking about aliens. The next moment they're talking about performance enhancing drugs. They talk about all types of different things on the Joe Rogan Experience, because Joe Rogan has the type of personality where he's just trying to learn stuff and figure stuff out. And I enjoy that. Well, when he got on the episode with Kanye and Kanye started talking, it was very interesting because he can't keep on the same trajectory and a path, it seems, for a conversation. So during the conversation, Kanye would start talking about the fashion industry and talking about how he's trying to make it big in there, but he needs somebody to be able to help him to be able to break down a barrier, because he's like Van Gogh or like Michelangelo. He's an artist. And then he would go into how the music industry has it. He gave him the best reception. And then he would talk about how there needs to be more people in politics that look like him. And it would just go and go and go. There was no path and trajectory in his conversation. And I couldn't finish. Basically, let me just get to it. I couldn't finish the Joe Rogan Kanye West episode because he was just rambling the entire time. So I think his best form of communication is his music. So when it comes to Kim and Kanye, I think she was sick and tired of it because he is somebody that is so unique and rare that it takes a special type of person to be able to continue to listen to that and understand that he's an artist. He's going to lash out. He's going to have his mood swings, but he means well at the end of the day. I think that's the main reason why they're not working. Now, the fact that you've had, I don't know, what is it? 1, 2, they got 3 kids together. The fact that you decided to do all that and then you decide to split after you've had those many kids together, I can't explain that part. But I can't understand how Kanye is somebody that is a completely different type of human being. All right. You have to understand that he's not for everybody. He's not everybody's cup of tea. So that's the first point that I wanted to get into. And I'll get into why he's been lashing out when it comes to Pete Davidson and in the media. Like, I don't know if it's you. I have TMZ on my phone to get updates on stuff that's happening in the culture. And almost every 15 minutes, I've been getting some update about Kanye's doing this. Kanye allegedly strikes this person. Kanye is at the Super Bowl. I mean, like every other story is something about Kanye West. And I'm going to get to it at the end of this episode, the reason why I think that's been going on. So I want to acknowledge people listening in the live audience here on YouTube. I appreciate you. We have last call for insight. Add this to the broadcast. Karat Juice Podcast. Good evening, sir. Good evening to you. Thank you for listening and watching. Shout out to you. And we also have Super Terrestrial Redemption coming through with the emoji. Shout out to you. Thank you for watching. And I'm going to continue with the program. Let me get another sip. I'm getting thirsty. Also, so a question that I wanted to pose to you guys. Do you think it's appropriate to continue to talk about on social media, to continue to try to get your ex back? Now, I know it might be a little bit different if it's somebody that you are married to and you have a lot of assets to possibly lose, but just a question. Do you think it's okay, and would you try to win an ex back? Just ask, go ahead and drop it in the comments. Let me know what you think. Do you think it's appropriate to try to win your ex back publicly on social media? Because that's what Kanye has been doing. And I think some of it is genuine, but I also think there's another underlying reason behind Kim Kardashian, Pete Davidson, Kanye West constantly being in the news day after day after day. Because let's think about it. If you're somebody who is a brand, if you're somebody like Kanye who promotes music, clothing, shoes, just overall, your name is a brand. Is it in your best interest to constantly have your name in the news, whether it be good press, bad press, or indifferent? Wasn't it didn't somebody say in the past that any press is good press? See, what I think Kanye West is a master marketer. If you've realized over the years, Kanye West, when he first started producing music, you rarely heard about him in the news. You rarely heard him say anything. But in the past, I would say 7 years, anytime he has an album that's about to drop or a big event that's going to happen, he says something or he does something in a public setting. Look at the Taylor Swift situation. When he got up on the stage, he said, no, excuse me. When Taylor Swift was getting her award, Beyonce had the best video of the year. You remember that? I remember that. I think, was it VMAs? So there has been a precedent of when Kanye, when he has something that's about to drop, he'll make sure that he gets in the news, whether good, bad, or indifferent. And at the end of the day, I'm not saying this is a good or bad, but at the end of the day, it helps his brand. So is that being crazy? Is it being unstable? Or is it free marketing? I'm talking about him right now. Have we been being bamboozled by Kanye West? And he is a billionaire, but what he's doing with that methodology, he's not spending 1 cent, 1 dime on marketing by being portrayed in the media as somebody that's unstable. But I think he's very smart. I don't think you can become somebody that's successful if you don't have wit. If you're not smart, you don't have guile, you don't understand things from a different level. So that's what I think is going on with how prevalent and how like consistently over time he's been in the news for the Kim Kardashian, Pete Davidson situation. I think he's milking that situation for press. And we have some more comments here. And to my question, Last Call for Insight responded, and he said, it depends how the relationship ended, but I don't think social media is the way to go. I agree. I think in today's day and age, people go to social media too quickly, because one thing people don't realize, social media is forever, especially if you're somebody in the public eye. You put a tweet up and you say something disparaging about somebody else, or you say something that's not supposed to get out there. Even if you delete the tweet, other people track your tweets and screenshot them. Once you put something on the internet, and especially if you have any type of status or notoriety, you can expect it to be there forever. Why do you have to do it publicly? That ties in more to what I was saying as far as with, I think it's a marketing tool for a lot of celebrities now. Free press. Even though they have the money, why pay for it if you can get it for free? That's what a lot of people don't understand. People think that a lot of celebrities are just blowing money, spending money on private jets, spending money on all this type of stuff. They do it from time to time, but a lot of people don't realize celebrities and people of status, they get things for free because the brand wants to have their brand bolstered up by the status and the cachet of the celebrity. And Super Terrestrial Redemption says, he can do whatever he likes. The consequences don't affect me. I would never do any of it because I'm a Virgo. Okay. Appreciate you. Thank you for providing your input. And what does London Summer says? Thank you for watching. Shout out to you. I think there are appropriate times to try and win your ex back publicly. However, in this case, I would say no. Kim and Pete seem to be happy together, and I feel Kanye should respect that. Okay. I can understand that and respect that position. All right. So I'm going to continue on. Also, Beautiful Barb has something to say. What does Beautiful Barb says? Kanye needs to let it go. Love, Pete Davidson. All right. Shout out to you. The movie, I will give you this. The movie, The King of Staten Island, was a really good movie. And I don't think Pete's a bad guy. I'll say this from my own personal experience. Any ex that I've ever had, I for the most part has all been on good terms. Like, I've literally wished every ex that I've had well afterward, and I don't have any animosity towards them. I think that's the sign of a person who's mature and a person who's socially aware and connected. If it's a red flag for me, if I'm talking to somebody, and you guys let me know, you guys and gals let me know. If I'm talking to somebody and initially when you are on a first date, and anytime you bring up anything about past relationship or anything, the person is constantly saying, well, this person wasn't any good, and this person did like disparaging your exes. This person wasn't that good, and I was in this toxic situation, and that, and that, and that. And it's just nothing good to say about your exes at all. What I'll say is, at the end of the day, well, the common denominator in all of those situations is you. And what you need to think about is, if all your relationships and all your situations are bad, you might want to look inwardly. Because what I would say is, you chose that person for some reason, and there had to be some good qualities about the person, or why would you be with them? So what I think is, if somebody is constantly saying that all of their exes are bad and they got done wrong, I'm going to be skeptical of that. That's all I'm saying. So I don't have anything bad to say about any of my exes. And if it didn't work out and we went our separate way, yes, I've been dumped before. I've been let go, and I kept it moving. I was like, all right, cool. You don't want me. I wouldn't say that I didn't feel any emotion at that time, but I think it's strange to continue to hold on and try to pine away for somebody who doesn't want you. Put that energy somewhere else. Now, in Kanye's situation, it's a bit different only because there's kids involved, and he wants to keep his family together no matter what. He's tied to Kim Kardashian because they have to make it work and at least have a cordial relationship to make sure that their kids could have that structure and have that foundation of mom and dad being at least pleasant with one another. And there's the marriage. I don't know if they have a prenup or anything like that, but there's also the marriage. They're billionaires with the B. So there's a lot of funds that could possibly be moved around. So I understand why he's pulling a Ray J, no pun intended, pulling a Ray J, got his knees on the ground and saying, if I had one wish, I'd get Kim Kardashian back. You know what I mean? Like, I'm thinking they have a prenup because if I remember correctly, Kim Kardashian loaned Kanye West money like when they initially got together. And that was part of the catalyst that led to him really having to come up, because she loaned him, like, it wasn't a small amount of money. It might have been like $50 million or $100 million or something. It was a lot of money so that he could get something off the ground. I can't remember the exact brand or whatever he launched, but right now he's worth like 1.8 billion. So I think he's thinking about that, and he's thinking about, you know, how well he's done financially and everything else with Kim Kardashian, and he's kind of having some second thoughts. But that's enough about Kim and Kanye. So that's just the one topic that I wanted to get into. Let me keep going. So I also wanted to talk about sports, the NFL. So there is a possibility that Kanye West, yes, Kanye West, the same guy that we're talking about, the erratic guy with the erratic nature, he's thinking about purchasing the Denver Broncos. Yes, the Denver football Broncos. They're up for sale. They're worth and valuated to be worth like an estimated like 3.4 billion. And like I said before, Kanye is worth 1.8 billion. So he definitely could purchase the property. He might have to go in with a group to be able to purchase the organization. But I think that would be a positive thing. I think he would need to have a board. He would have to have some people who know football to help him with understanding what he needs to do to be able to run a franchise appropriately. But I think that would solve a lot of the issues that's going on currently with the NFL. I don't know if you guys are tracking or have been following what's been going on with the NFL, but an ex-NFL coach, Brian Flores, an African-American man, he has a lawsuit where he's claiming that NFL franchises, multiple NFL franchises are not doing what's appropriate and fair hiring practices because he was up for a job. I can't remember the exact team, but he was up for a job. Dang, what team was it? I don't remember exactly. He was planning on going for a head coaching position. Was it with Carolina? And he hadn't done the interview yet. Brian Flores, that is. He gets a text message from you guessed it, Bill Belichick, Hall of Fame coach from New England Patriots. And the text, what does the text say? The text says, congratulations on getting the head coaching job. Yeah, you heard it. The text says, congratulations on getting the head coaching job. And he says, well, I haven't even interviewed for it yet. Bill Belichick says, my bad. That meant to go to somebody else. My bad. Text the wrong person. The text was actually supposed to go to the other guy that the team hired. However, Brian Flores was still supposed to go in for that interview as just like a placeholder interview. So I don't think he has a problem with not being hired for the job. I think he has a problem for going for a placebo interview that doesn't mean anything when the powers that be, the organization, already has their pick before he even goes. Because if you guys are not familiar with the NFL, I don't want to bore you too much, but there's something in place in the NFL called the Rooney Rule, where it is the NFL trying to have more diversity and inclusion, and it requires NFL teams to not hire a minority or an African American person, but they need to at least give them the opportunity for an interview. And what Brian Flores is claiming in his lawsuit is even before he had the chance to be interviewed, they already had their guy and he was scheduled to go to an interview the next day. So if that is the case, that's some pretty damning, that's a damning accusation there. And all of this is alleged, by the way, but that's what's going on in the NFL, what's being reported and what has been kind of reported for years, that there's not an equal opportunity. I don't think people should just be given any job. I'm just going to put that right there. I think people should be, the best person should get the job. That's what I think. Whether you're white, blue, black, purple, yellow, green, cyan, the best person should get the job. I'm not talking about equal outcomes. I'm just talking about equal opportunity. If you're somebody that is experienced enough, if you've paid your dues, if you've done what you need to do as far as being a coach, you should at least have the equal opportunity. And that's what seems like is not the case in the majority of situations in the NFL. There are coaches who are minorities who aren't the best coaches. Let's be right. There's also white guys and whatever other nationality that aren't the best coaches, but there also are some great coaches. One being Mike Tomlin for the Steelers. So it's just about equal opportunity. And Mike Tomlin would tell you, like anybody else, he doesn't want to be given anything. He wants to earn everything that he's gotten. And I love that guy. He's such a great motivator and a leader. And I believe he's won. Is it one Super Bowl? He's won one Super Bowl with the Steelers. That might be two. Hold on, let me get that right. Let me not put no. He might have won two with Ben, but I think he won one because the previous coach, Bill Cowher, won one with the Steelers. So yeah, one chip with the Steelers. So Kanye West, Denver Broncos. What do you guys think? It's a possibility. I'm for it. I'm giving a thumbs up to that. We need more inclusion when it comes to the NFL. And I think that would be great. And I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to front. I know the music's going to be great in the arena, and they're also going to have some nice Yeezy inspired jerseys. So I'm all for that. So the next thing that I wanted to cover and talk about. Let's see here. The next thing that I wanted to cover and talk about is what is going on with the STEM player. Have you guys heard about this at all? The STEM player. So apparently Kanye West has a service that he's working on, his own streaming service. I didn't know about this at all until today. So everybody's creating a streaming service nowadays. So I'm going to kind of just read some of this and kind of give my thoughts on this. So the co-creator of Ye's STEM player explains why it's a revolutionary device. So it's not a streaming service, it's a device. So it indicates here, and this is courtesy of GQ, ahead of Donda 2, Alex Klein reveals how the STEM Player exclusive album came to be and why both he and Ye feel the $200 price tag is more than worth it. $200? Hold on. So it indicates here, just because Kanye West mostly stopped using all caps in his Instagram captions doesn't mean he intends to make the release of Donda 2 any less noisy. Last Thursday, Ye announced the new album will not be available on any streaming service. Not Amazon, not Tidal, not Spotify, and most contentiously, not Apple. Kanye got some beef with Apple? Kanye says Apple offered him $100 million. My heart is beating for him. $100 million that he turned down. It's not clear what the $100 million was for exactly, though it's worth noting Apple Music had the exclusive streaming rights to last year's Donda listening parties, which set streaming records for the platform. Oh, so are they going to be streaming his listening party? Because Kanye actually has today in Miami, in some park in Miami, the listening party to Donda 2. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with Kanye, but Donda recently came out. So I'm surprised that we already are getting Donda 2 so quickly. So let's continue on here with this article. Driving this decision is the idea of ownership. A recent theme in West's ever-evolving mission statement is this. Ye kicked off February by announcing Black Future Month, a rebrand of the annual observance that he feels is an antiquated way of honoring the Black community. This month, he also hosted a brunch for prominent Black members of the media, while his new head of Donda Sports, and he has a sports brand, Donda Sports, NFL wide receiver Antonio Brown, oh Lord, made public pleas to buy the Denver Broncos. So he's teaming up with Antonio Brown. All right. I don't know about that pairing, but hey, more power to him. So it's certainly more than just good timing that, according to a press release sent out on Saturday, Donda 2 will be the first album of Ye's to be released independently and not under the umbrella of Def Jam, Universal Music Group. So he's going to come out independent on this one. So what's the end game? Ownership. I think that's what Kanye has been after all of these years. So for so many years, even when it was like he was on Sway in the Morning and he was like, you ain't got the answers, Sway. You ain't got the answers, when he was talking about the fashion industry and about trying to get in and trying to, stamp his name and his claim. Over time, with more power, more influence, eventually what you want to do is you don't want to be tied to any conglomerate or corporation. You want to be the corporation. You want to be the person making the chess moves. And that's what I see Kanye doing on a grand scale with everything that he's doing now. Like what Jay-Z says, I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman. Y'all catch that? I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman. I love that line. So it also indicates here, in an age when tech companies are racing to scoop up real estate in the metaverse. What's the metaverse? It's Facebook's new world that they're creating. We're living in the future, people. The metaverse. They're going to be selling properties and real estate and stuff in the metaverse. Yeah. Nuts. Continuing on. Trying to change the music industry through a physical device would appear challenging enough, even for a man who revels in conquering the impossible. But according to the co-creator of the STEM Player, Alex Klein, simply giving fans a fun new way to play around with music barely scratches the surface of what Kanye hopes to accomplish with it. So apparently this device was made by Klein's company Kano. The stem player is supposed to represent the beginning of a seismic shift in how not just music, but content in general is created, distributed, consumed, and enjoyed. They go on to say, we are ready for a radical break within the existing paradigm, but one that brings more people in and speaks to the human spirit that we've forgotten. Also goes on to say, over the phone, Klein said, as he was rushing to a flight to Miami, where on Tuesday, Donda 2 will debut during a live performance at Lone Depot Park. So a $200 device. So it also says here, ahead of Donda 2's release, GQ spoke to Klein to get an idea of how this ambitious project came to be and hear his pitch for why the asking price of the stem player plus Donda 2 combo pack is not just fair, but a good value when you consider what the purchase symbolizes. All right. And there's a picture of the player here as well. It's just a little player. I don't know if you guys can see that. Maybe I could pull the picture up, but it's very strange. Can't see it, but it's just like a little handheld. It looks like a cookie with some lights. $200. I'm lost, guys. Like, I hadn't read this article or seen any of this before I started talking to you guys here today. So I'm reacting to it right here in the moment with you. And I don't know what I'm a big Kanye fan, but I don't know. I definitely know I do not need to pay $200 to listen to an album where eventually it's going to come out in a regular format, right? Where I could listen to it through a streaming service or something of that idea, right? Like eventually the person's music is gonna want to they're going to want to put their music out to brands like Apple and Spotify and where it has more people initially. So what's the point of me spending that much? More power to them. If anybody wants to do it, I'm not going to knock you for it. But I can't bring myself to pay $200 for that. Especially when nobody listens to music through a physical device anyway. Everybody listens on their earbuds, or I already got my own sound system. So I don't think you can like try to market better sound quality or anything. And I don't think that's what they were doing. They were talking about an experience. You get it first. You get to put up the thing on Instagram and be able to say that I'm one of the first people listening. But me personally, I do not need to be first. I can listen to it when I listen to it. And yeah, very strange. Like an album back in the day was like what, like $8 or $9, maybe $10, $200, especially with everything going on with inflation and what have you in the market. I just don't understand. Like, okay, I was saying this the other day too. I don't know if it's just me, guys, but do you think, or have you felt where it seems like everything is becoming a subscription or some purchase to be able to watch or get some kind of service? It's like hyper, it's just happening so much more often now. Like, people complained some years back about cable, and the cable prices were nuts. But they've gotten even more like inflated now over time, where like you watch on HBO, like shout out to HBO. I love the show Euphoria. The last episode was great. There's shows like that. And then you have on Netflix, you have like your Love is Blind, stuff like that you're watching on there. And then you got your Peacock stuff where I think there's like an additional upgrade you can get to watch Bel-Air. There's all these different stuff. And before you know it, if you get all of these different subscriptions to be able to stay in the know with some of these things, you're paying, if not the same you pay for cable, you're paying even more to be able to follow along with all these different services to be able to watch content that you want. So I think we're headed to a future where it may seem like at the beginning you were saving with like Netflix and what have you, but I don't know, like every 3 or 4 years, 2 or 3 years, the price of that goes up. When Netflix first came out, wasn't it like $4 or $5? Now to get the Netflix where you can watch on multiple screens, which everybody wants to do, it's like $15 or something like that, right? So there's even inflation happening in our apps and stuff too. And I'm not saying that they're businesses, they need to make money, but it's just something to think about. So that's my thoughts on that. There's a Donda, the stem player, a Kanye West stem player that you could buy for $200 if you want to listen to Donda 2 first. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say, I'm not going to be somebody that's going to do that. But hey, this is common sense with a twist. I mean, you do not have to follow along with what I say. But so that's a little bit of what's going on with Kanye West. He has a lot more in store for us this coming year, it seems. And I wish him all the best, honestly. I hope that he can mend things with Kim Kardashian. I think that ship is sailed, but I want to see more families together. And if you get married, as long as there's not any like violence or abuse in that situation, that they can mend it and be able to keep a family together. Because I do believe that the best outcome for the children is for them to have mom and dad in the home, raising them, teaching them the proper values and all that type of stuff. So that's kind of my take on that. So, hey, that's been another episode of the Karat Juice Podcast. I am your host, Monte Lee. I appreciate you guys and thank you for listening. Thank you for watching on YouTube. And if you want to enjoy the live experience here of the podcast, you can do that on YouTube. And also for my podcast listeners, if you could do me this favor, I'd really appreciate it. It would really help me out if you go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, and rate and review the pod so more people can find it and listen to it. And do me a favor, like and subscribe to the content on YouTube if you haven't done so already. I release this podcast and I do it live every Tuesday around 6 o'clock. And I have been appreciating and loving doing this. And like I say every time here on the podcast, do something good for somebody, not expecting anything in return. Love somebody, hug somebody. And until next time, I'll see you. Peace and take care of yourselves. We gone. Now we're going.